Hi guys, what's up? How are you guys freaking doing? Oh my gosh. I haven't sat in front of the camera in like 2 weeks, at least this camera. I hope that you are doing well with whatever you got going on in your life. I wasn't even planning on filming today. I actually had completely different plans for today. My dad was supposed to get surgery and it was supposed to be a whole day and this, that, and driving, but it got canceled. And I was like, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity to film. So, for today's video, I wanted to talk about wounds. If you are a human being, I'm sure you have experienced a wound, whether that be physical or mental or emotional. You probably have experienced it, okay? It's part of the human experience. But what got me thinking about this topic, this was the beginning of May. And I was over to visit my family and I was taking out the trash, and the trash had like these glass shards in it, and while I was going down the stairs I was like swinging the trash, the trash bag, and it scraped up against my leg, and it got me this, like, it was a little cut, guys, but it was kind of deep for a leg cut, okay? It was definitely not like a little scrape, and it was painful, okay? It doesn't hurt anymore, but like when it first happened and the first week I had it, it was painful. The whole point is that it had me thinking about wounds and the process it takes to heal a wound. You know, currently right now, there's always something to learn, and a lot came up. Like me just staring at this wound in the shower and after the shower, a lot of things came up for me. It was almost like a reminder to me when it came to the emotional and mental wounds that we carry and that we have, right? Number one, the first way we heal a wound is to acknowledge that it's there. Because if we are not witness to it, if it's not in our forefront of our mind and we're unaware of it, it just sits there. There's not a lot of shit that happens. And it's a simple step, but when it comes to your physical and emotional wounds, it's really important that we learn to acknowledge what is coming up for us. It's so crazy how this little cut made me just go on this huge rampage of wounds. But I was sitting there and I was like, Gabby, because I was thinking about this cut, and I was like, this is annoying. I have to constantly be changing the band-aid and stuff like that. But I sat there and I was like, Gabby, sitting here complaining about the wound, complaining and giving it so much energy and complaining about the fact that it's there is not really doing anything for you. You know, you're just complaining, and complaining for me is a complete waste of energy. So when it comes to our wounds, there's a lot of things that we need to remember when these wounds are coming up for us. Patience. We have to be patient and give ourselves the utmost grace when these wounds are coming back up for us, especially if the wound maybe hasn't been activated for a while, and then all of a sudden, you know, shit comes up and it makes you realize, holy shit, you know, I'm actually not over this, or I thought I healed from this, but I'm actually not. It is in those moments where we need to give ourselves the most patience ever, and grace and love. Because, shocker guys, healing a wound, it does not heal overnight. There's a process to healing a wound. You have to nurture the wound. You have to take care of it. You have to love it. If you get a deep cut on your skin, you know, you got to clean it. You have to put ointment on it, or you have to put a band-aid on it, right? There's a certain level of nurturing that it takes to heal that wound, right? It's the same exact scenario for our mental and emotional wounds that come up. When you're first healing those wounds, when you're first in the process of acknowledging those wounds, a lot of repetitiveness is going to come up. Maybe the same thing might come up multiple times. I promise you guys, that is just the process. It's like pushing out all of the gunk that is just not needed. Think about, like, if you like have a glass of dirty water and then you put it under a sink and you let the sink water run into that dirty glass of water, eventually the water that was filled up with dirt is going to eventually clear out, right? And it's going to the glass is going to be clear again, and it's gonna have clear water in it again. But in order for that to be flushed out, there's that in-between process of patience patience waiting for that water to clear. That can be one of the most maybe frustrating in the beginning, because it keeps coming up for you and you're just constantly in that like, oh my God, why is this, you know, why is it coming up and this and that? But it's purging out of your body. It's purging out of your mind. There's that level of nurturing and loving it. But, excuse me. Oh my God. But along with the nurturing and loving it, guys, you have to make sure you give your wounds space to heal. You need to make sure you give your wounds space to clear out. Whoa, the biggest ringing in my ear. Whoo. Yeah. Okay, got it. Thanks. So I was like, where was it? What was I saying? So you have to give your wounds that space to clear out. With the wound on my leg, there was probably, you know, it was probably like 3 to 5, not even 5 minutes, like 3 minutes out of my day towards the nighttime where, you know, I was cleaning it, I was putting ointment on it, and I put a Band-Aid on it, and that's all. I just left it there. Another part of it is you gotta stop touching it. Stop touching the wound. Stop bothering it. Stop nitpicking and like all of that shit, right? Like stop, just take a step fucking back, right? A majority of the healing that was happening, guys, it wasn't me, because I wasn't touching it. I wasn't like touching it and like magically making my wound heal. It wasn't me. I mean, it was me. It's my body, but you know, my hands, I wasn't physically like closing the wound. My body did that on its own, but it's also because I left it the fuck alone. I guarantee you guys, if I like picked off that scab the first day it came, and I'm like, you know, when you see scab, you're like, ooh, funny, you want to pick it? It would have lengthened the process of my healing if I was constantly picking at it. It's so important that we learn to find a balance between nurturing our wounds, but also leaving the wounds the fuck alone. Sometimes you just need to realize, you know, what energy are you projecting onto the wounds that you're having, right? There comes a point where you get tired of nitpicking at your own brain or nitpicking about the wounds that you have. You get to a point where you're tired of it and you're just like, okay, I acknowledge it, I see it, I'm doing the steps to try to heal the wound, I'm doing the steps, I'm taking the action to heal the wound, but at some point, you can only do so much, you know? At some point, you have to step back and allow that vibrational essence that you just created to catch up with you, to catch up with your body, and just allow shit to just be. Just let it be. Every wound that you have, there's a different level of hurt to that wound, right? When I get scrapes and cuts on my fingers when I'm cooking, whatever, I acknowledge it, like when it happens, right? I'll put a Band-Aid and I'll forget about it. But because it's on my hands and I'm doing things constantly, I tend to forget about like those cuts and those things on my hands, and those heal very fast. It heals on its own. You know, we can acknowledge all these wounds and these traumas, and you know, we can take the time and the steps to help heal these wounds, you know, the different healing modalities and all that stuff, but at some point you have to just like let it the fuck go and like stop giving it so much of your energy and just be like, okay, I can only do so much from here. Time does heal, y'all. And I guess it depends the context you're talking about, but time heals. It definitely does. The more days that you go on in your life, you know, the more experiences you have, the more you allow yourself to just be human, those wounds eventually subside. You eventually start to understand that those wounds, as much as they feel like they're a permanent thing to you, maybe you feel like it's something that you're constantly gonna have to be working through. Maybe yes, for a certain period of time, but you don't have to constantly be picking at the wound. Sometimes it's better to just let it be. It's a very freeing feeling, especially when you have been picking at that wound, especially when you have been giving it so much energy. You finally realize, okay, there's nothing else for me to do. I need to stop doing that and just allow my body to work the magic, right? You allow your brain to work the magic. You allow universal forces to work its magic. Be patient with yourself. On a healing journey, a self-love journey, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you have to be patient with yourself and love your wounds and understand that it wasn't like you woke up one day and, you know, you were like, I'm gonna have all these wounds and whatever. Like, that doesn't really happen. You know, a lot of these wounds come up from childhood. They happen in childhood. When the wounds from childhood start coming up for you, especially when you're an adult, babe, that's years of conditioning you're flushing out. That's years of constantly being in that mindset, believing those wounds. It's been years of that. Your body has been trained to believe the wounds. Your body has been trained to, you know, just attach to them. So when you're in the process of deconstructing those wounds, you know, letting those wounds go, it takes a process, it takes time. Until you were finally able to think and act for yourself, you constantly had a mindset that maybe was projected onto you. So when you're an adult, you need to be patient with yourself. Years of conditioning you're flushing out. Be patient, be graceful with yourself when you are experiencing the wounds. When something comes up and you're like, what the fuck? I thought I was over this. I thought this. Sit with yourself. And instead of like fighting fire with fire, love that wound. You will always be there for it. Even if you think that you've healed it all, you know, just let it know that, hey, I'm here. I see you. You're okay. It's okay that you came up again. It's okay. It's just another level that we got to work through. Everybody is trying their best. I guarantee you are trying your best, especially if you're watching this video. Nurture and love your wounds. But also stop fucking touching them. Stop giving it so much energy. Learn to find that balance. I guarantee you, you will. You guys got this. I love you. You're doing the damn thing. You're on the journey. You're doing it. You wake up every single day. As long as you wake up every single day wanting to be a good person, wanting to put out those good vibes, you live with integrity, you live authentically, that's all you can do, really. You're awesome. You're beautiful. Keep being amazing. I love you.